Good evening. Plenty of plows and shovels being put to work today as the region digs out from the biggest winter storm of the season.
Dealing with all that snow that fell yesterday will take some time. CTV's Allison Hurst is live in East York tonight. And Allison, you've been following cleanup efforts throughout the day. How are things looking where you are?
Nathan, if you can see where we're standing right now, the snow is starting to fall again. So no doubt cleanup efforts happened all day today and are going to continue on into the weekend. We saw a lot of people out with shovels, shoveling their driveway, digging out their vehicles and having to scrape them off from the sheer amount of snow that fell yesterday. Digging out.
It's a lot of work.
Or leaving cars buried. Torontonians are dealing with the cleanup from the first major storm of the season.
Luckily, we didn't have to go anywhere yesterday.
Jennifer Bowl and her family were supposed to go to Ottawa, but pushed their trip back to avoid the storm and are now digging out.
Usually the worst part is just getting off the street.
But they managed to get on their way, and it appears a plow had passed through.
Crews have been out around the clock, really, to continue with the snow plowing efforts.
The city has declared a major snowstorm condition in response to up to 50 centimeters of snow that fell in some parts of Toronto yesterday.
It is going to be multiple rounds, right? We had a heavy snowfall. There was a lot of blowing snow yesterday. That meant that even if your road was plowed, maybe you came back out an hour later and it looked like it hadn't been again.
Getting around isn't without its challenges for drivers, waste collection,
Slow to normal.
and transit users. It's taking...
It was like almost double the time. Yeah, close to double.
It's tough on foot, too. This woman finds navigating the sidewalks...
For me, it's very hard. Some places, the sidewalk not clean.
Forcing her instead to walk in a live lane of traffic. Parking enforcement is out, issuing tickets to cars parked in areas with temporary bans for snow removal and those parked on marked snow routes. Some are finding more creative ways to get around.
Someone told me about a 4-hour commute yesterday, so I say take the sled.
But most are generally pleased with the city response.
I was shocked to see how easily I could navigate the roads. Everything was plowed.
Especially compared to last year.
The number of calls that we actually received in our office was minimal. In fact, probably about 5. Last year at this time, I don't know what the count was, but it was greater than 100.
Still, there's lots of work to do, with the next winter blast likely just around the corner. Environment Canada has said that people don't need to worry about anything like the amount of snow falling yesterday, falling tonight. It shouldn't be anything like that. And city officials say that crews are working 24/7, multi-days to clean up the mess. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Michelle, back to you.
It's a big job. Thank you, Allison. And as the cleanup continues at this hour, we take a live look at the evening conditions. Very picturesque with the flakes flying. A lot of people enjoying Nathan Phillips Square and the lights this evening. And we are in the midst of another dose of snow. Lindsay Morrison is here with all the current conditions. We don't need any more snow, but we're getting a bit more.
Yeah, Michelle, it is pretty out here, but I imagine this is the last thing that people wanted to see again. Another round of snow. It looks like a snow globe right now in many parts of the GTA. And the timing of this one isn't great because it's during the evening rush and roadways likely feeling a little bit of an impact of this too. Let's talk about the snowfall totals from yesterday. They continue to come in from Environment Canada, and we have some big winners, if you will, including Scarborough, Vaughan, 47 centimeters of snow. Places like Markham, Brampton, and Pickering seeing 40 centimeters or more as well. And even if you didn't see 40 centimeters in other parts of the GTA, guarantee that that storm was memorable for you as well. And now, here we snow again. Look at the satellite and radar. We've got widespread snow. It's fairly light, but again, it's falling at an interesting time with lots of people out on the roadways. Friday night festivities just getting underway. We're going to be dealing with this for the next couple of hours before it, too, moves out. We've got southwesterly winds today. That's been influencing our temperature. It was a very, very cold start to the day today after a bitterly cold day yesterday, but these southwest winds helping bump up the temperature. It's not too bad out here right now. There is a wind chill factor, so keep that in mind as we make our way into the weekend. But overall, we're going to be a little bit mild for the day tomorrow. Here's your evening and overnight at a glance. The snow tapering off just before or around the midnight hour. Tomorrow, temperature actually going to be slightly above the freezing mark, but don't get too used to that. It's going to be much colder the rest of the 7-day forecast. We will take you through that coming up. But for now, Michelle and Nathan, back inside to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. It was yet another day of delays on the new Line 6 Finch West LRT.
Service shut down for the second morning in a row, leaving commuters scrambling again. CTV's Jan.16 reports on the issues plaguing this new line.
For the third morning this week, there was no service on Line 6, making for a very frustrating commute.
I missed first period, and I'm already late to second.
Having to take the buses, it just took a long time just to get to school.
The 11-kilometer, 18-stop light rail transit line, which only opened a month ago, was completely shut down from Finch West to Humber College stations. Shuttle buses were running to supplement service, but weren't servicing the Driftwood, Tobermory, or Sentinel stops.
Honestly, it's a bit upsetting. It's kind of hard to get to work already as it is. I do work really far, so it being shut down was kind of hard. I had to spend like $40 on Ubers.
The TTC cited weather conditions for this morning's closure. While the line was open briefly around 10 p.m. last night, it was otherwise out of commission all day yesterday.
It's frustrating.
Today, Mayor Olivia Chow commiserated with commuters, but also laid the blame on Metrolinx, which owns and constructed the line.
Let me put it this way. TTC runs Line 6. We do not maintain it. We did not design it. We did not build it.
The new light rail route was supposed to launch in 2023, but that opening was delayed until last month. Since then, commuters have faced numerous disruptions and suspensions, especially during colder weather. In fact, in a Liaison Strategies poll that was released earlier this week, 62% of respondents said so far they think Line 6 Finch West has been very unsuccessful.
It's pretty slow. The 36 was a lot faster. I don't know why and not only that, with all the snow going on, it doesn't really run.
Sometimes at half an hour later, so buses were quite better in terms of connectivity.
For its part, Metrolinx says winter conditions present issues for railways across the country, particularly with regard to keeping track switches clear of ice and snow. It adds, Finch West LRT uses electric heated track switches because the line operates on embedded track in the center of Finch Avenue alongside traffic and pedestrian activity. Natural gas flame or hot air switch heaters would be unsuitable. Finch West LRT, along with all of our projects, are designed and tested to run in winter conditions. Janice Golding, CTV News.
Passengers flying out of Pearson Airport are also facing ongoing effects from yesterday's storm. Here's CTV's Scott Hurst.
We've been hearing from a lot of tired passengers, a lot of frustrated passengers more than 24 hours after this massive storm that caused travel chaos, not just here at Toronto Pearson, but other major airports through Ontario and into Quebec. Many passengers still don't have that final ticket after a cancellation yesterday, so many are still in limbo trying to find their way either home or off to their vacation or business trip, as the storm yesterday caused a lot of cancellations and delays. And now the airlines are trying to pick up the pace and get them back booked into the system so that they can get to their final destinations. In terms of the airport operations, the Greater Toronto Airports Authority tells us that it's basically more or less a return to normal operations. Of course, the crew that is out there cleaning the runway has been all hands on deck, trying to make sure that the runways can stay clean and that the airplanes can stay on their schedule. So from the airport's perspective, it is quickly a return to normal operations. However, there is some more snow in the forecast, but it is nothing like it was yesterday. Here's more from some of those passengers who are still trying to get to their destinations.
So now we have to wait in this very long lineup to rebook to hopefully get home maybe today. Yeah, so we've been 24 hours in an airport and no sleep. So yeah, big impact.
Tired. Been up for like 24 hours now. Yeah.
It was yesterday that there's no problem. They are going to reschedule us today. Yeah, that's what they told us. Okay. So we are good. Yeah. So we are good to go now.
Toronto Pearson yesterday recorded more than 22 centimeters of snow as part of this massive storm that moved through. Now, in terms of delays today, there are still a fair amount of flights that have been delayed throughout much of the morning and into the afternoon. So this is still something that passengers will continue to feel today. Of course, the advice is always check ahead of time before you come to the airport. And in this case, that is something that passengers will definitely need to be aware of. As I mentioned, there are still many flights that are delayed today, so passengers will need to make sure that they check their flights so that they're not waiting a long time here at the airport. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead tonight, Canada strikes a trade deal with China. Prime Minister Carney calls it a landmark agreement. But relief for canola producers comes with concerns for Ontario's auto sector. And the Premier is not happy. Well, big news from the world of baseball tonight, and none of it is good news for Jays fans.
According to several published reports, all-star infielder Bo Bichette has chosen to sign with the Mets, the second superstar to spurn the Blue Jays in the past 24 hours. CB24's Melissa Duggan's been talking to fans. And Melissa, I'm sure many fans are disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed, Nathan and Michelle, but not surprised. Listen, we knew that Bo Bichette was a free agent after that World Series run wrapped up. Would the Jays be able to sign him? Now all signs pointing to no being the answer to that question. $126 million. That's reportedly the deal that Bo Bichette is signing with the Mets for 3 years. Of course, Bo Bichette has been a longtime Blue Jay, 7 seasons with this team, a face of the franchise, a fan favorite. Now fans, what are they going to do with those jerseys? That's certainly a question right now. Are they prepared to say goodbye to Bichette? Have a listen.
It's really disappointing. I mean, I kind of saw it coming, but yeah, he was a big part of the team past few years, and it's gonna be a big change. I mean, hopefully they can get enough pieces to make it their offense still work.
I'm really sad that he's leaving. Look, I was watching him since I was back in the days. It's really heartbreaking.
I think that's really sad. Yeah, he was an amazing player, and I know the fans love him, and I think it's a bit of a loss for the Jays personally.
Of course, Bo Bichette, a superstar, a 2-time All-Star. He's led the American League in hitting, coming off a hot season in 2025. He did have an injury that kept him out for some time, but still, that batting average at .311, you could expect that a lot of teams had their eyes on him. But all of this is just adding to the heartbreak for Jays fans after that Game 7 World Series loss. And now losing Bichette on top of that. Kyle Tucker, that outfielder, was thought to be perhaps a future Blue Jay, but we know that he signed with the Dodgers for a whopper of a deal. So disappointment upon disappointment. We are getting some more reaction from TSN Radio's Matt Cause.
Make no mistake, the Blue Jays are worse today offensively than they were a day ago. Can Vladimir Guerrero Jr. be playoff version through most of the regular season? My concern, George Springer, can he be 80% of the guy he was last year at 36 years old? Addison Barger made a big leap from last year, or 2 years ago, with 7 home runs to 21 home runs this past season. Anthony Santander, can he be anything close to the guy he was in 2024 with Baltimore? And a player like Ernie Clement, who looks like he'll now be the full-time second baseman, can he be close to Bo Bichette?
So if these reports are accurate, that means that Game 7 of the 2025 World Series would have been Bo Bichette's final game as a Toronto Blue Jay before he heads south of the border. And looking ahead to the schedule, Michelle and Nathan, if we do see Bo Bichette become a Met, he could be playing here in Toronto at the end of June, beginning of July. What kind of a welcome are fans going to give him when he's wearing a different jersey? Back to you.
He'll get lots of love. Thank you, Melissa. To a deal of a different kind now between China and Canada.
Prime Minister Mark Carney confirming a new trade agreement had been reached with Beijing. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has the latest.
The stalls at Beijing's busy food markets will soon be filled with more Canadian lobster, seafood and canola products after Canada and China signed what the Prime Minister is calling a landmark trade agreement.
We're building a web of new connections with China to create transformative opportunities for Canadian workers, build more stability, more certainty and prosperity on both sides of the Pacific.
As part of that deal, China will remove all existing tariffs on Canadian canola meal, lobsters, crab, and peas until at least the end of the year, and permanently reduce its tariff on canola seed to 15%. The tariffs on canola oil and pork will remain.
If you're a canola farmer, you're probably cautiously optimistic that something's going to come from this because we don't know the full details. But if you're a Canadian auto worker, this is devastating news because they know that this is going to undercut North American produced vehicles.
In exchange, Canada will let 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into Canada, essentially tariff-free, increasing that amount every year after. By 2030, half of those EVs should cost a maximum of $35,000.
We need to look at this in the context of building. I mean, we're building a new part of our car industry, building cars of the future in partnership.
The new trade pact that encourages Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector was announced hours after Carney shook hands with the Chinese president, closing the deal on a 5-pillar strategic partnership meant to tear down trade barriers and forge new ties in areas from finance to energy and tourism.
A healthy and stable China-Canada relationship serves the common interests of our two countries. It is also good for the peace, stability, and prosperity of the world.
The Prime Minister says concerns about foreign interference and human rights were brought up in his private meeting with Xi Jinping. He leaves Beijing tomorrow for Qatar, where he will once again try to drum up business investment. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Beijing, China.
Meanwhile, here at home, the premier is not happy with today's announcement.
Doug Ford calls the deal lopsided and says he believes the decision risks closing the door on Canadian automakers' access to the U.S. market. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has that side of the story.
Outside Windsor's Stellantis plant, the deal with China gets mixed reviews.
I don't have an issue with it. We don't make a small car here in Canada. And we don't make a small car EV here in Canada, so I'm not sure how that has any bearing on this plant.
But there's real anxiety, too.
The worst thing is it opens the door and it's a slippery slope after this. It was a big mistake, in my opinion.
An opinion shared by the provincial government.
That is a horrific mistake.
The premier calls the trade agreement lopsided, a mess.
It's going to hurt every single auto manufacturer, every single supply chain that has anything to do with the auto sector. This was not thought out properly. It wasn't consulted. It was a knee-jerk reaction as far as I'm concerned.
The opposition accuses the premier of not doing enough to muscle into the conversation.
What it means, I think, for our auto industry is the death knell. I'm very, very deeply concerned about it.
Some industry players are willing to wait and see.
This is one of those days that is the one step back of the 2 steps forward.
There are concerns about how allowing Chinese EVs into the Canadian market might factor into trade negotiations with the U.S. The union, representing thousands of Ontario auto workers, not calmed by the fact that Chinese cars would represent just 3% of the vehicles sold in Canada.
Of course it's going to grow. It's grown everywhere where China has had a foothold. Look at Europe, look at Brazil.
There are calls from the Premier, Unifor, and manufacturers for a comprehensive federal auto policy that supports jobs and resolves unanswered questions.
Like the electric vehicle mandate, amongst other things, that we have no clarity on, and it makes it very difficult for our members to plan moving forward.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
There were some mixed messages coming out of the White House today in response to that new deal with China.
Well, I think it's problematic for Canada. There's a reason why we don't sell a lot of Chinese cars in the United States. It's because we have tariffs to protect American auto workers and Americans from those vehicles. The Canadians were trying to get some tariff relief on their own to get ag into there. I think in the long run, they're not going to like having made that deal. All that being said, American cars are still going to be sold into Canada. We have a huge market share there, and I think that the Canadians' dependence on the United States for their GDP, the United States is always going to have an outsized role in that economy.
Later on, when President Trump was asked about the deal between Ottawa and Beijing, he appeared to welcome the news.
That's okay. That's what he should be doing. I mean, it's a good thing for him to sign a trade deal. If you can get a deal with China, you should do that.
Also today, the president mused about slapping tariffs on countries that don't support his push to assert U.S. control over Greenland. Several European countries have said doing so by force would mean the end of NATO. Trump repeated his claim that the U.S. needs the Arctic territory for national security, but he said the military alliance and Washington are talking.
A 33-year-old man is dead, and Ontario's Special Investigations Unit has been called in after a police-involved shooting in Brantford. It happened this morning when police received calls about a domestic dispute at a home on Palomino Drive around 2:30 a.m. They negotiated with the man for hours before entering the home and firing their weapons. A woman was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators say a sharp-edged weapon was found at the scene.
Toronto police are reviewing the actions of the officers who lost track of crucial evidence that led to charges being tossed against an accused teenage cat killer.
But as John Woodward reports, new figures show the number of dropped criminal cases like this one, are on the rise, with Crown prosecutors sounding the alarm.
No one will be held responsible for mutilating and killing Sarah Downing's cat, Mildred.
Astounding. It's astounding, knowing that there's no justice and that, it's terrible.
Police laid charges against the neighborhood teen, but they were dropped this month as a judge said it was inexcusable for Toronto police to lose track of photos and witness statements.
All the sadness and grief and pain and sorrow that was caused in our community, it all came back.
The TPS saying they will review the actions of the officers involved and recently distributed a new evidence protocol designed to speed up disclosure.
The whole system is horribly under-resourced.
Leslie Pasquino of the Ontario Crown Attorneys Association says disclosure problems are derailing many more serious cases.
This is a matter of public safety.
The numbers tell the story. Crimes against a person province-wide, including homicides and major assaults, up from about 60,000 10 years ago to 80,000 last year. Charges withdrawn before trial have nearly doubled in that time frame, from around 20,000 to almost 40,000. That means, about 1 in 3 charges used to be dropped. Now that's risen to about 1 in 2, about half the time. Among the factors behind this, more cases going through, many with more evidence, often including hours of video. All of that has to be processed within the strict timeline set by Canada's Supreme Court. Ontario's Attorney General has said the threat of tossed cases for delay is its top operational risk and is investing in prosecutors for files like gun and gang crime and auto theft. Critics say it's not enough.
We cannot have a safer Ontario until we adequately address the underfunding and the crisis that we now see in courtrooms.
Downing says police have tracked down Mildred's body. She may do a private autopsy. Then Mildred will be cremated, ashes shared with some in the community, and buried here where she used to roam. John Woodward, CTV News.
As demonstrators across Iran face a brutal government crackdown, the country's exiled crown prince suggested he would be the right man to lead the country if the Islamic regime is toppled.
Today, as my compatriots call on me for leadership, I reaffirm my lifelong pledge by stepping in to lead the movement that will take back our country from the anti-Iranian hostile force that occupies it and kills its children.
Reza Pahlavi's comments come as an internet blackout remains in place in Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump threatened an attack of some kind as reports of bloodshed spread. He was asked today why he didn't go ahead with strikes.
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself. You had yesterday scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
Human rights groups say at least 2,500 people have been killed in efforts by authorities to crush the demonstrations, which the regime says are backed by Iran's enemies.
A major ruling from the Federal Court of Appeal about the way the Liberal government responded to the truckers' convoy protest in Ottawa 4 years ago.
The court upheld a ruling saying the feds didn't have reasonable grounds for their decision to invoke the Emergencies Act to clear the demonstrations and encampments that took over part of the nation's capital. For about 3 weeks in early 2022, downtown Ottawa was filled with protesters, many of whom saying they were furious about COVID-era restrictions. Many were in large trucks that blocked streets around Parliament Hill. Big rigs also jammed key border crossings to the U.S. The Emergencies Act allowed for temporary measures like regulating and banning public assemblies and a direction to banks to freeze certain assets.
What it means is some people may now have grounds to bring forward more effectively lawsuits against the government. And it also will come back to the major point, which everybody has been in agreement, all the experts that have ever spoken on these matters, including at the Commission of Inquiry, and we've submitted submissions to the court, that the Emergencies Act itself is very out of date, drafted in the 1980s, and requires a total overhaul.
The Canadian Civil Liberties Association says it pursued the judicial review not because it endorsed the convoy demonstrations or how they played out, but because legal thresholds do not bend even in a crisis. And the Office of the Public Safety Minister responded in a statement saying the Government of Canada is reviewing the ruling and assessing next steps. The government remains steadfast in its commitment to ensuring the safety and security of Canadians in the face of threats to public safety and national security.
Back here at home, for thousands of kids across the GTA, today was a day off school, a long-planned PA day tacked on to yesterday's snow day.
And just like they did during Thursday's snowfall, many of them got outside to enjoy all the elements. CTV's Beth McDonnell reports.
Go up sideways just like we did.
Fresh snow is creating new opportunities on the slopes. Taking a lesson at Earl Bales Park in North York is one way to get off the couch.
I like to learn a sport where I can enjoy the winters rather than hiding from it.
And how's the learning going so far?
It's going amazing. I love it.
It's pristine powder, giving people another reason to be active and enjoy the outdoors. What do you like about skiing?
I just like that chairlifts take you up and then you can just slide down. So it's easy.
This is the best place that I can drive 15 minutes and have a lot of fun in the snow and just practice my technique. Otherwise, I go to ski in the Alps. Look how beautiful white it is. And I just think it's really fantastic that we have this in Toronto.
Have a good one. This is his inaugural run down the hill on the snowboard this season.
It's fun because it's like harder because you're not on two things. You're on one board. And it's harder to control.
One day after the big dump at Colonel Samuel Smith Park in Etobicoke, the sleds are really picking up speed.
I like it because I get to go with my friends and family. It's really fast, and when you go by yourself, it's more fast.
Parents are also taking in the action and having a good time.
Embracing winter and just enjoying the snow when it's here. Great PA day fun.
The kids are having an absolutely great time. If you're going to live in Toronto, then you might as well enjoy the winter fun, right?
For some, skiing at Earl Bales is what saves winter.
It's the only thing I'm interested in winter.
What else do you like about winter? Anything else?
No, absolutely not.
And whatever your level, when the snow falls, this instructor's advice is to grab some gear.
Just get out and have fun and practice. That's all I can think of, snowboarding and skiing.
Enjoying the thrill of winter, thanks to all the snow. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, by now you've probably returned any holiday gifts that weren't the right match, maybe a sweater that was too big or a gadget you didn't need. But have you checked to see if the prices of the things you bought went down? It's a good strategy. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
Well, the snow is coming down here again tonight. The winds have strengthened in the last little bit, and this active weather is going to be with us for the next couple of hours. But here is your weekend forecast, and what I want to point out is the fact that we do still have flurries in the forecast this weekend, but less in the way of accumulating snow. Saturday is mild. Sunday is a lot colder, and look what's in store as we make our way into next week. A different kind of weather pattern with much colder air settling in throughout. We'll talk temperatures in the 7-day forecast after the break. Stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Now that the holiday season is behind us, chances are you've returned any gifts that may have missed the mark and got a refund.
As well as being aware of refund rules, you should also know about price adjustment policies in case something you bought got cheaper. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. No one likes to buy something and then see the price drop just days after you bought it. It can feel like you got ripped off. But now some stores allow price adjustments that let you keep the item and get a refund for the amount the price went down. Overpaying happens more often than you think, but knowing the store's rules can help you keep more cash in your pocket. Before you shop, take a quick look at the store's price adjustment and price matching policies. These policies can let you claim the lower price even after you've checked out.
When you know a retailer's policies, it can help you navigate shopping there and getting the best discounts, the best deals possible.
So, how do they work?
When you're price matching, you're doing it before you buy. With price adjustments, it's after you've already bought something and you've seen a price drop. You can go and get an adjustment and get a partial refund.
But every retailer's policy is different. Walmart will only match a price if you're shopping in-store, see something for less on Walmart's website, and request a price match in person. There are also exclusions, and Walmart doesn't match any competitors' prices. The same goes for Costco. If you buy an item and the price drops within 30 days, you can request the difference online for online purchases and in-store for in-person purchases. No matter where you shop, make sure you're comparing the prices of two exact items down to the color, and be sure you have proof. Receipts, ads, screenshots, or printouts of competitors' prices can often help your case. It may seem like a lot of effort, but
taking that extra few minutes to look at these policies is always going to be worth it.
If a store refuses to give you a lower price, check with your credit card. Some cards offer price protection benefits that might be able to refund you the difference. If you're returning items, some stores may not issue refunds if the product has been opened or used. They may also charge restocking fees, and for online orders, you may have to pay the shipping costs to return it. And some stores are making it harder to return items, and you could be red flagged if you return things too often. You may be told your return was approved this time. However, future returns or exchanges may be denied, even with a receipt. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Of course, all eyes on the weather, and I couldn't help but notice more snow coming down during some of those reporter hits.
The flakes are flying. They look quite lovely. Lindsay, I don't know if it's just me, but, and I know anybody shuffling or driving a plow is going to disagree, but in some ways, it can't be as bad as it was yesterday. That was really rough. We can manage this, right?
We can handle this, Michelle and Nathan. If yesterday was the main course, tonight is dessert. It's a little less in the way of, well, snow overall. But yeah, it's been a very snowy couple of days. The snow continues to come down now at this hour. Behind me is a vehicle here in our CTV News parking lot that has not yet been brushed since yesterday's snow. So as you know, we picked up close to 40 centimeters of snow in many areas. So there's a lot on here, and we're starting to see the snow accumulate further at this hour. Again, it has picked up the pace. It's starting to come down fast and furious. Yeah, I'm going to need a shovel for this one too. But the snow continues to pile up. If you have somewhere to be out and about this evening, give yourself a little extra time. We've been saying that so much recently, but it rings true again for tonight. Hopefully it will ring true less so as we make our way into the weekend. Let's get to your forecast, and we will begin with another look at the satellite and radar. Here's where the snow continues to fall. Now, if you're wondering, when is this all going to end? I do see some clearing now starting to happen in and around Kitchener-Waterloo, over toward the Brantford area. The possibility of flurries is going to be with us at least until near the midnight hour before things really do finally clear out. So this disturbance, it's a totally different kind of weather system compared to yesterday. We had a clipper system right now, so that's a difference compared to yesterday. And these are generally fast movers. They typically bring us maybe just a couple of centimeters of fresh snow, and then they move right on by. So on the forecast radar, this will give you a little bit of an idea of the timeline. So there's midnight. We've essentially said goodbye to this system. However, more in the way of snow over the weekend. Scattered flurries for us. Where you're likely to see more in the way of snowfall accumulation is areas like Owen Sound, Perry Sound, maybe Niagara again, and possibly over toward Kingston as well as Prince Edward County. So there's a look at the snowfall totals that we're expecting from here. A couple of additional centimeters of snow in the GTA, heavier amounts of snow outside of the region. Temperature-wise, okay, it was bitterly cold yesterday and frigid this morning. We've seen a nice improvement temperature-wise. We're still below freezing. We look to be somewhere around -1 degree through the overnight hours tonight, but there still will be a wind chill factor. So there's tonight's expected overnight lows. Into tomorrow, though, the temperature actually climbs above freezing for many communities. There's your tomorrow at a glance. 1 degree is what we're forecasting here in Toronto, and we expect to be above freezing and above seasonal in many parts of southern Ontario. Let's take you on a little journey across the province to give you an idea of the forecast daytime highs. Don't get too used to this, though, because highs like this might start to feel like a bit of a distant memory as we make our way into Sunday and then certainly into next week. We're going to be much colder overall. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Daytime highs back below seasonal. Average temperature this time of year is around -2 degrees. We're going to be well below that, and not just for a day or two. This will be a more prolonged cold spell, not exactly atypical of January, of course. We are right in the middle of winter here in Canada. But yeah, this is going to feel a little bit cold. I'm crossing my fingers for those sunny days on Monday and Tuesday. Okay, this is a vehicle that was freshly brushed off today, but you can see the snow that's starting to accumulate even just from this evening. I'm going to take care of my colleague's vehicle in just a moment. But for now, Nathan and Michelle, back inside to you.
Very kind of you. More brushing, more shoveling. Thanks, Lindsay. Also tonight, money matters. The dangers of worrying about cash flow. Why financial stress may be just as bad for the heart as chronic stress. Health is next. The latest numbers on the spread of influenza are out.
They suggest cases of the virus are on the decline after peaking over the holidays. Public Health Ontario shared figures for the week ending January 10th. In that period, just under 14% of tests for the flu came back positive. Officials consider that to be a moderate level, and it is down from around 1 in 4 the week before. More than 500 patients were hospitalized for their flu infections, as doctors say a flu shot is the best way to avoid severe illness.
A recent published study warns that financial stress could be just as harmful for the heart as more traditional risk factors. Researchers looked at data on more than 280,000 adults in the U.S. between 2018 and 2023. They found that people who reported higher levels of financial stress and food insecurity usually had a more advanced cardiovascular age than would otherwise be expected. That's a measure of how old a person's heart and blood vessels look relative to their actual age. The authors say the findings reinforce the importance of considering non-medical factors that may play a role in health matters. The findings were published in Mayo Clinic Proceedings. Aside from the Finch West LRT, yesterday's dumping of snow also had some impacts on regional rail service.
Some schedules have shifted as a result while the cleanup continues. The Up Express is operating on a reduced schedule, running once every half hour. GO train service is running as scheduled with some delays reported. Then, starting late tonight, Lakeshore West trains will only run between Union and Mimico and Oakville and Niagara Falls. The switch is to allow for work replacing the Etobicoke Creek Bridge. Replacement buses will stop at Oakville, Clarkson, and Union stations. Also this weekend, there won't be any subway service at a stretch of stations in the city's west end. The TTC says it'll be carrying out planned signal work along Line 2 between Jane and Ossington stations. Shuttle buses will be running instead.
After the break, reversing course on a plan to reduce legroom on planes. Why WestJet's proposed change didn't sit well with customers. The Canadian Real Estate Association says it expects the housing market to pick up this year. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more.
Canadian housing starts were up 5.6% last year, with more new rental housing being built. There was a 58% increase year over year in the number of starts in Montreal. And both Calgary and Edmonton had a record number of starts in 2025. Toronto, on the other hand, saw housing starts drop 31%. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.86. West Texas Intermediate is up to 59.34. Western Canadian Select is down $2.67 to 44.84. And the TSX gained only 11 points, but enough for a new record close. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Earlier, we heard the Premier's comments about the Prime Minister's trade deal with China and the impact it could have on Ontario's auto industry.
Some analysts say Canada had little choice but to look towards Beijing as relations sour with the U.S. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello on how the deal is being received.
It's just a terrible, terrible, miscalculated decision by the Prime Minister.
Ontario's Premier slamming the federal government for not consulting the auto industry before agreeing to allow more Chinese EVs into Canada.
We're letting China into a market that's going to have lower tariffs than our largest market, the U.S. They're going to undermine every auto manufacturer here.
The pact Carney and President Xi made, potentially pitting parts of the country against each other. But the Premier of Canada's largest canola-producing province doesn't see it that way.
The canola industry, the oilseed industry, the pulse industry is important to virtually each and every part of this country, up to and including Ontario.
Some sectors are elated about markets opening up again, while others are still waiting for relief.
While there was a deal announced for lobster and crab, there's many other species that weren't included that are subject to retaliatory tariffs. I'm thinking, cold water shrimp, sea cucumber, whelk.
We need to see the pork tariffs taken off as well.
While doing more business with economies like China may be divisive, experts today said it's key to Canada diversifying trade.
If you're going to do that on planet Earth, you're going to have to trade with China.
The new partnership also includes increasing cultural and tourism ties. Carney said Xi has agreed to allow visa-free access for Canadians traveling to China. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
A change of course from WestJet. The Canadian airline is grounding changes to its cabin configuration after negative feedback.
Dad, could you just straighten out your legs there? Impossible.
That online video got a lot of attention earlier this month, showing the cramped leg space in the new densified cabins where passengers said they felt uncomfortable and unsafe. WestJet says following a review of the data and feedback from guests, the airline will return to its standard seating arrangement for economy cabins by removing one row of seats.
Meanwhile, Mayor Olivia Chow is in Scarborough highlighting boosted supports for tenants in her proposed 2026 city budget. The mayor said those measures include investing in more rent-safe TO officers to address tenant concerns and an additional $10.8 million for the city's rent bank program. The initiative offers relief to Torontonians who are having trouble paying their rent.
When we invest in keeping people housed, we prevent the far greater costs of homelessness. We make sure that one bad month, one medical emergency, one layoff doesn't destroy a family, or one notice of illegal rent increase, that people can still stay in their home. That is the Toronto we're building together, a safer, more affordable and caring city.
Chow says the city also plans to break ground on more than 9,000 new rent-controlled and affordable homes this year.
Just ahead, they may play below the border, but the Buffalo Bills have a big Canadian fan base. Proof of that support popping up all over the community. We check out Project Believe on through the Bills' playoff run.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
You may have seen them around the city, signs of fandom for a football team loved by many in the Six.
CTV's Jessica Smith explores the purpose behind Buffalo Bills-related graffiti.
Bills fans in general are nuts, and we love them.
Bills Mafia is alive and well north of the border with a new graffiti-style community initiative.
like a grassroots campaign for the country of Canada, and I thought that was really cool.
The Buffalo Bills tagged in local muralist Paul Glyn Williams to help carry out a rally cry to Canadian fans of the Buffalo Bills, asking them to continue to believe on their playoff run.
We wanted people to like slightly notice them, and it's a play on words and play on the signage, and it was just fun.
Project Believe is all about connecting fans through murals and tags around the city.
And Toronto is known for its incredible graffiti art. So we worked with a Canadian-based agency, Mosaic, to bring this campaign to life, and it just seemed like such a perfect fit.
The QR codes on each piece are a way for fans to connect and a chance to see their beloved Bills in person.
And just the fact that they're willing to make that trip to join in the tailgates and to support their team, and that their fandom is just as strong as the fandom that was homegrown here in Buffalo. There's just nothing but gratitude and love to our Canadian fans.
The graffiti-style art, a call out to all Canadian fans who love to cheer loud.
We go off. Have you ever been to a Leafs game or a Raptors game or a Jays game? Like, there's some of the best fans in the world here, and just like in Buffalo, there's some of the best fans in the NFL.
And proud. Project Believe will be in place with tags like this and murals all across the city throughout the Bills playoff run. And there is more planned if the team makes it to the Super Bowl. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
We'll have to wait and see. And we've got Bills Buffalo weather. It's snowing.
Yeah, kind of perfect for a football game. Lindsay.
Yeah, the players are used to playing in conditions like this in Buffalo anyway. I know the games are happening in other parts of the U.S., but hey, this is what we have here in Toronto. We've all got some sore arms and sore backs from the shoveling and the brushing off of cars we've been doing. Here's one more look at the satellite and radar imagery. A little more snow to go. I tried my best to brush off some of the cars in this parking lot, but yeah, didn't quite get to all of them. Here's a look at what you can expect tomorrow. A milder day, maybe a tiny bit of melting before the deep freeze that follows us into Sunday and through much of next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. I know it's been a very snowy end to this work and school week. Take care. Nathan and Michelle, back inside to you.
You too, Lindsay. Put your feet up. You've had a wonderful week. You've earned it. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Allman, who has your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.